In the aftermath of the Canadian Grand Prix, Mercedes chief Toto Wolff publicly described Horner and Red Bull's protest as petty and shameful, while his colleague Christian Horner insisted that his team had no regrets. However, the damage was already done. Wolff is on the hunt for revenge at Red Bull, and this might hurt Horner's image once more. Could this public outlash result in Horner leaving Red Bull? Or even worse, Wolff poaching Verstappen? It all started when Red Bull contested George Russell's victory in Montreal on Sunday, saying that he had broken the rules by driving carelessly and unsportsmanlikely behind Max Verstappen's safety car, which the stewards eventually dismissed. Earlier this season, Red Bull filed a protest against Russell after the Briton placed third, one position ahead of Verstappen at the Miami Grand Prix. The charge that Russell did not brake properly under yellow flags was dropped. First of all, it took Team Red Bull Racing 2 hours to launch the protest, so that was their own fault. You know, honestly, it's so petty and so small, Wolff told Sky Sports in New York at the launch of the new F1 film. He added, "They did it in Miami." Now they have launched 2 protests. One they have taken back because it was ridiculous. They come up with weird clauses, what they call clauses. I think the FIA should take a look at that because it is so far-fetched that it has been rejected. And, you know, you race, you win, and you lose on the track. That was a fair win for us, like there were so many in the past. And it's just embarrassing. When asked if Red Bull's protests should have been dismissed sooner, Wolff responded, "One of the protests they withdrew, they didn't even go through with it because it was nonsense. The second one took us 5 hours because I don't even know what you call unsporting behavior or something like that. What is it about? Who determines that? Because I'm 100% sure it's not Max. He's a racer. He would never file a protest for something so trivial." The protest was the latest in a string of heated incidents involving Verstappen and Russell. The Red Bull driver was fined for provoking a collision with Russell during the previous Grand Prix of the 2025 season in Spain, earning Verstappen 3 penalty points and putting him on the verge of a racing suspension in Canada, and will continue to do so at the next round in Austria, before losing some points off his license. After beating Verstappen to pole in Montreal on Saturday, Russell claimed he had an advantage over his competitor due to penalty points. Verstappen later stated in a post-qualifying press conference that he was piped off by the childish remarks about his circumstances. The two also had a heated argument during the season finale last year, after Verstappen was punished for an incident with Russell during the Qatar Grand Prix. Speaking to Sky Sports in New York, Red Bull's Horner stated that they have no regrets about their activities. No, absolutely no regrets. I mean, it's a team's right to do that. You know, we saw something that we thought was not quite right. Horner: "You have the option to take it to the stewards, and so that's what we chose to do. I have absolutely no regrets about that." Horner believes there is still a far way to go and does not count out Verstappen's chances in the Drivers' Championship. "We are not even halfway there yet. We had a good weekend in Barcelona. A few races ago, of course, we won in Imola, and as Sunday proved, anything can happen," he said. "You just have to persevere. It's a long championship. We are not giving up anything. We will keep fighting until the end. If one person is going to do that, it's definitely Max." Asked about the Montreal incidents, Russell told Sky Sports, "I don't think even Max knew there was a protest going on. So I don't know what was going on, what they were thinking. And I'm glad nothing happened. It was just a bit of a waste of everyone's time. And 2 guys who work for the team both missed their flights last night and stuff. It was just a bit of a hassle for everyone. But that's over now. I'm looking forward. I feel I am performing well. I feel good in the team. Who knows what's going to happen? The margins are so small now." Verstappen faced a racing ban this weekend due to 11 penalty points. 1 additional penalty point before June 30th would result in a race ban. Therefore, he must complete the upcoming F1 race in Austria cleanly. Russell mentioned the penalty points, which, according to Horner, prompted Red Bull to ask the FIA not to boo their rivals. "I think you could hear from George's press comments on Saturday that his aim was pretty clear. I don't think that was a surprise," Horner said. The British team boss continued, I think it was inevitable that there would be some possible games. We discussed that with the race management after the driver briefing, so they took it into account as well, because obviously these things happen. To conclude, but Max, I thought he was spotless all weekend and drove a very good race. We just said to him, the race director Ed, if they would please keep an eye on it because obviously there have been comments in the media. Because of these weird statements from Russell over the weekend, he has been accused of trying to throw Max Verstappen under the bus with his antics behind the safety car during the Canadian Grand Prix. Verstappen entered round 10 of the F1 2025 season 1 penalty point away from a race ban, having increased his total to 11 in a 12-month rolling term following his accident with Russell at the previous race in Spain. Verstappen appeared to pull off to give Russell a position at the Barcelona track following a previous collision, but then accelerated back up into turn 5 and obstructed Russell from coming in, resulting in contact between the two cars. The Mercedes driver described his Red Bull rival's antics as very deliberate, while Verstappen admitted on Monday morning that his actions were not right, but never apologized to Russell. Verstappen received a hefty 10-second time penalty and 3 penalty points as a result of the Spanish Grand Prix steward's decision. That increased his total to 11, one short of a racing ban. Verstappen and Russell were at it again at the next race, the Canadian Grand Prix, when they finished first and second behind the safety car, which had been deployed after Lando Norris rear-ended Oscar Piastri. Leading the race, Russell applied the brakes, a standard action to preserve temperatures behind the safety car, and Verstappen appeared to be caught off guard by the suddenness of the braking and blasted by the Mercedes driver. Russell was quick to report over the radio that the Dutch driver had overtaken him under safety car conditions, while Verstappen alerted his race engineer to the rapid braking. The stewards were unconcerned by the incident, but Red Bull later filed a protest over what they saw as Russell's unsportsmanlike behavior, with Christian Horner questioning the Briton's objective given his post-qualifying jab at Verstappen's penalty points. However, while the protest was not supported by the stewards, Red Bull simulator and development driver Rudy Van Buren felt Russell's actions were questionable at best. "I'm somewhat irritated by it, to put it mildly, in front of the camera. George has a certain distance to the safety car that he needs to maintain," he said. Talking about trying to throw someone under the bus. He's looking in his right mirror, and Max is driving alongside. He's warming up his tires, and as soon as he thinks, if I brake now, Max will pass me, he does it. Then he goes on the radio to say something. And what he forgets in that process is that he ends up more than 10 car lengths behind the safety car because he braked. So guys, what are we even doing? Horner also disclosed that Red Bull had spoken with the FIA ahead of the Grand Prix, anticipating that competitors would play games with Verstappen in an attempt to get the defending world champion suspended. "It's inevitable that there was going to be some potential gamesmanship," said Horner. "It's something that we raised after the driver's briefing with the race director, Rui Marquez, just so that they were mindful of it as well, because it's clear that that kind of stuff goes on." "But Max, I thought he's been squeaky clean all weekend and drove a very good race. So, what do you think? Will this storm blow over, or will there be deliberate actions in Austria in 2 weeks to hurt Red Bull once more? And what about Horner and Verstappen? Will they both be at Red Bull next year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.